This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It is first of all, I have audio problems. I'm a little in the corner again. Here we go. It is the After Party live on what we like to call a Waterfall Wednesday. A little bit of relaxation after all that political talk on the Mark Thompson show. We're winding down, we're wrapping it up. And I know I've started the show a little bit earlier than I had posted I would, but sometimes we start a little late, sometimes we start a little early because the Mark Thompson show ended in a timely fashion today. And so I will answer a question from Sandy, who writes, "Where is Mark anyway? Yesterday he was in his bedroom and then he was gone. I never heard where he went," writes Sandy. Well, that was not Mark's bedroom. That was a hotel bedroom, as you could tell with the rumpled sheets behind him. Mark is in the desert. He is looking at art with Courtney. They are at an art installation somewhere where perhaps they could stop by and get some real Coachella Valley coffee. I have 2 cups of the vanilla tea today because I need the extra energy. I made one last night that I wanted to make sure I had one of them. My husband made me a second one. So I am full up on my vanilla tea and super happy because it is so, so good. They don't sponsor this show. So let me tell you, and thank you for asking, Sandy, but let me tell you, speaking of Coachella and the desert and Coachella Valley coffee, that when I tell you I'm addicted to this tea, no joke and no lie, I don't know what I would do without it. I mean, obviously I would exist, but it really does make things better. It's just so refreshing and good. That Moroccan mint tea was quite a surprise. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but the vanilla tea, there's just something so comforting about it. It's funny, I was talking to one of our listeners, Janet, and she's like, "I don't really like that vanilla tea." I'm like, "What? How do you not like the vanilla tea?" So something for everyone's taste. But if you haven't been to the website yet, and I know it's not cheap, but it is cheaper sometimes than buying little things. If you buy it, buy more of it, you buy the bigger packages, it can be cheaper. So check it out. It's CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. And I hope that if you do end up getting something that you like it as much as I do. Gordon, I had a job interview today waiting for a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Well, you always get a thumbs up from us, Gordon. I hope they like you as much as we do, and I hope you get the job. So I'm going to fingers cross it. Sounds like in your cave Monday, that it's Waterfall Wednesday. I don't know. Yeah. Mark is recovering from an art show. Mark getting robbed in Coachella? Yeah, I'm hoping not. I hope he heard the story. Watch your stuff in your Coachella Valley room. I'm telling you. Cindy says their turmeric chai tea is great as well. Yeah, Julia also likes the chai tea. Although lately she's been on a matcha kick. She's got this little matcha set in the kitchen that I have to live with on my kitchen counter. And she has this little bamboo whisk and she's making these matcha drinks for herself in the evening. So there was an echo when I came on. I think it's gone now, right? I had the sound on my second computer turned up. The second computer down here is the one that I can see all your comments on, and the one up here, because see, I wouldn't want the video to come this way so that then I look like I have a double chin. So I have the real computer up here with the camera, and then what I can see everything on is the one down here where I can read your comments. That's how I do it. John hates job interviews. Yeah, you're always on display trying to sell yourself, right? Yeah, sound all good now. All right. On the way in, I saw this video. I sound like I'm coming from on the way in from one part of my house to another. On the way in from the Mark Thompson show to the after party, I happened upon this video, just making sure that I'm not missing any huge story that we need to talk about. And so I double check before I come on to make sure that there's not anything big that we need to talk about, right? Any breaking news. I saw, this is not breaking news, but I saw this video. They say those people that'll be late to their own wedding. It's probably been said about me a time or two. I was not late to my own wedding though, so that's good. But this lady was caught
Whose wedding is it?
doing 105 miles an hour.
Where at? You're already late. Just give me a minute. I'll let you take her, but I'm going to give you a court date. It's a mandatory court appearance. All right.
Yeah, mandatory court appearance because they were going, not she was in the passenger seat. They were going 105 miles an hour down the freeway. I can understand why you don't want to be late to your own wedding, right? Yeah. Although I'm surprised when he saw her in her wedding gown that he didn't just say, you know what, slow it down a little bit. Your groom will wait for you, or your other bride will wait for you, or whatever it is, right? Telling you. I love this story, if only because of the picture. This is a little beaver on the run. Oh no, okay. Make your jokes now. Look at that little beaver. This beaver escaped from a zoo in New York, and they're using drones to find this beaver now, who has been on the run. This is a 2-year-old beaver named Cauliflower. And Cauliflower had only been at the zoo for a couple of weeks when the zookeepers there in Utica, New York, discovered that Cauliflower escaped sometime before the end of the day, Wednesday. I think it was last week. The beaver was initially spotted at a pavilion in the zoo right after an alarm went off, but he managed to give workers the slip, and now it's been nearly a week, and it looks like Cauliflower is still on the lam. They say we haven't found him yet. So far, we feel like we've done everything we could think of to no avail. Then they say we realized we can try drones. So a local drone company was contracted to do flyovers of the zoo and its surrounding areas to check for Cauliflower. They think that maybe Cauliflower left his enclosure to try to find a mate. The quote is, we anticipate he probably went exploring a bit because he was in with his sisters. He didn't want to be with his sisters. He wanted to be with another hot lady beaver. The beaver and his sisters, named Mustard and Tangerine, came from the a zoo in Minnesota just a few weeks before the escape. So hopefully they find Cauliflower and everything is okay. He sure is cute. Okay, this is where the relaxation portion of the show comes in. Check out this creature. I tried to take stills of this video, but I'm telling you, this Colossal Squid video is magic. This creature filmed in the deep ocean for the first time ever. We've seen the Colossal Squid before. We just haven't seen the Colossal Squid in the deep, deep sea. But I have video for you, and I'm so excited to play it, which means I need to take the Colossal Squid picture down. And here we have it. Let me play this video for you. How incredible, from the Schmidt Institute. It is the first live observation of the Colossal Squid swimming in the deep sea. Incredible. Look at this creature. You can see all the other creatures going past it as well. They say it's 100 years in the making, this video. The video filmed in the South Atlantic Ocean. They've captured for the first time footage of a live colossal squid, and this creature is known for reaching lengths of up to 23 feet. This one, it turns out, is a baby. It's only a foot long. The reason they say it's 100 years in the making is because back in 1925, 100 years ago, a fisherman found the first remains of a colossal squid inside of a sperm whale. And so over the next century, for the last 100 years, only 8 adult colossal squids have been found, all after they died. So it's exciting, they say, to see the first live footage of this juvenile colossal. And yeah, the scientists at Auckland University of Technology were contacted to verify this footage. They said for 100 years, we've mainly encountered them as prey remains in whale and seabird stomachs and as predators of harvested toothfish. But the team of scientists, I'll go back so we can watch the video again, because who doesn't want to see that more, right? Yeah, look at this. First one live we've ever seen. I love this story. So they used a remote operated vehicle on March 9th aboard the Schmidt Ocean Institute research vessel, Falcor. It was a 35-day expedition, part of an ocean census expedition looking for new marine life. And it was a collaboration between the Schmidt Ocean Institute, the Nippon Foundation, Nekton Ocean Census, and Go South, which is a joint project between the University of Plymouth and some ocean research centers as well, and from Germany and the UK. So this juvenile squid looks like it's translucent as it heads through the water. Now, when it ages, it'll become less see-through. Its muscles will thicken up. Its large eyes, the largest, by the way, of any known creature, can be seen in this footage. The reason these squids have been so hard to find with cameras is because of the sensitivity of their big eyes. The researchers say most of the deep sea exploration equipment is large, it's noisy, it uses these super bright lights to see down in the deep. And if they're trying to find animals, that can shun them or you turn them away. So this is some pretty incredible footage. It might be only a foot long now, but just imagine 23 feet long, something like this giant squid. Anyway, I thought that was a cool story, as you can tell. This is something I hope we'll be able to talk about. I saw earlier, the ladies of space. They went up in this penis-looking rocket behind them, shot off into space, and came back down, kissed the ground, Katy Perry did, said it made her think of love. But apparently, they've gotten some pushback on all of this as well. Especially Gayle King, who was being mocked for comparing herself to astronaut Alan Shepard. And so the question I have for you is, what makes an astronaut? Is it that you went into space once, or is it not the ride into space that makes you an astronaut, but the fact that it's your life's work, your study, your training, your education, like everything all rolled into one that makes you an astronaut? Are these women astronauts because they went into space one time for a few minutes? Gayle King says, yeah, she's an astronaut. That they took the same path as did Alan Shepard, which puts them in the same category. I have video of this, and then I'd love to hear what you think about it. Here's what she said about the backlash.
This is the one who keeps it
Wait a
moving.
minute.
He stocks
Oh,
the right
well.
parts and knows just where to find them.
We'll
I
skip
have
it.
to ask
Sorry.
you, from a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you the moment you were boarding?
15.
Ooh.
15. You know, and I'd been through the training, so I was well prepared.
Mhm.
I had great faith in Blue Origin, of course, but always in the back of your mind, always, you know, there's a possibility. But it wasn't something that I thought was going to happen. I never, ever thought that. But, you know, listen, you're looking at somebody who, you know, I'm a very nervous flyer. I don't get on roller coasters. I don't like heights particularly. But there was something about this mission that was very inspiring to me. And when you're asked to do it, I thought, how do you say no to that? You could have, but I toyed with the idea of saying no. And then at the end, I said, no, I would like to do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about that because Oprah said that you jump at the first feeling of turbulence.
Yeah.
So how do you go from that, being scared on an American Airlines flight, to going to space?
No, there's been a couple of times on the plane where I'm literally in Oprah's lap because she's not a nervous flyer, but the turbulence gets to me and I'll put the blanket over my head and go, is it over? Is it over? Like you're seeing something.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a very nervous flyer, but you start looking at the bigger picture here. That's what happened to me. You start looking at the bigger picture here. And I'd said in January, I'm going to do things that take me, I want to be open to new adventures.
Yeah.
What's this?
I'm sorry for letting that play. I have more. I have more to show you before we really start this discussion, because she is getting kind of mocked for all this. Hopefully there's not another spot on this one as well.
This is what bothers me. because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. And this is what I would say to that. Space is not a either or, it's a both and because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner. I mean, Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, have you been? Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number three, please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did, and the machine that we were on, and what it took for the people to get that machine up and running, to get us up and get us back down safely. So, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this, the what it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say, wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not me. And how inspired they are.
That's the video I meant to play. So my apologies for playing the wrong one at the beginning. So do you think they are astronauts? And is it offensive to call it a ride? And are they doing this because they're women who went into space? If it was a group of dudes, would we not bat an eyelash to call them an astronaut? The the I just I don't know. She said we duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. No one said he took that ride. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey, she said. So I feel that it's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and the work that Blue Origin does. And social media went off. They said, here's some of the comments. Was it something special you did that someone famous did that makes you stand out? And people were saying, what's something else that you have done that someone else did that makes you the same? And here's an example. So I stood in the ocean in Normandy, France, just like our allies. So now I'm pretty much a member of the Allied forces. I was snorkeling and I saw a bunch of fish. So that makes me like Jacques Cousteau. I've been on a plane. Guess I'm a pilot now. Once sat in the cockpit of a passenger jet pretending to be a pilot, so I'm an Oscar-winning actor like Tom Hanks. I was president of my 5th grade class, call me Lincoln. I don't know if what she's saying is, I did this so I'm like that guy, but it brings the question up as to whether you think these women are being made to be less than what they've accomplished here. I will say that anytime you get in that penis-sized shaped rocket, it is a risk. You don't know if it's going to blow up or if it's going to do what it's supposed to do. So there's always a risk there. You're taking a chance. It can be a little scary. So it did take some courage to climb aboard that thing. I don't know if I drink the Jeff Bezos Kool-Aid that Gail King does or seems like she has. But I also don't think that just because you had enough money to take a ride into space where you were weightless for a few minutes makes you an astronaut. You haven't committed your life to the study of space or flight or science. I don't know that you can put yourself in the same position or equate yourself with people that are true astronauts. And so I wonder if that makes me sexist for not thinking that Gail King is as worthy of being called an astronaut as the men and women who've truly studied this field and who have trained and who have given most of their careers and lives to do so. Yvonne says, it's making me sick listening to this. They are not astronauts. Delette wants to know, what the hell did they accomplish? well, Gail King says that a couple of them were doing experiments in space. I would say, what did they accomplish? Then maybe getting over nerves going up there, maybe, you know, um, being courageous to do this. I think it's a courageous move. That's the only thing I think they accomplished. I don't know. Heather, I've worked with actual astronauts. This little jaunt is nothing compared to what they go through, the skills required, and the dedication. Thank you, Heather. I don't think you can call yourself an astronaut because you went on a jaunt. And I don't think it's sexist to say that. I think Gail King is wrong when she says, you know, men go up in space and they don't look at it this way. Maybe there's a tiny portion of that. You know, we talked about the spandex space suits and whatever else and joked around about it. I don't discount the courage, but as Heather says, skills required, dedication they put in. That's what makes an astronaut. You paid to take a ride and it took some courage to get there. I don't know. VA Ware says we've given 40 billion to Elon for this stuff. You can feed 2 people a day just for $1. You can? Oh, not in my house. Maybe we're eating too much. 40 billion per year could feed 80 billion people. He's thinking that this is an endeavor we shouldn't be wasting time on. MotorX says 5 years in active training before being in the aforementioned situations. Jim writes, missions sending 1%ers into space. Same for Shatner and Bezos. These people are not astronauts. Karen, they wore fashion designer suits. Honestly, she writes, they look good. Look at them there. They look good in front of the penis rocket. Teacher Lori says astronauts do years of training, not months, weeks, days of preparation. I don't know how much training they went through. I would imagine it was something, right? Tammy's maybe calling me to task on saying it's a risk. It's a risk, she says, to drive on the freeway, but a comparison to an actual astronaut is a different thing altogether. The unknowns were huge and no guarantees. This is true. John says, I went on a cruise once. Guess I'm a sailor. Heather again says, and Heather, I think, is really uniquely qualified to talk about this because of her work in this industry. And she writes, it's not sexist. The situation was ridiculous, regardless of gender. The male crewed space jaunt was just as stupid and eye-rolly. So we're not talking about that. Rhonda says, my son went to space camp for 2 weeks. Well, that makes him an astronaut, apparently. Yeah. I don't know. It's silly. I don't understand. I guess, when you do something like this, you think you're going to come out the other end with this title, astronaut, and then people start making fun of you. It can be hurtful. Why not just say, hey, that was a cool experience. Got to do that. It was great. And not worry about all the other stuff. All female space crew. Look at those astronauts. Be aware, I can see space from my front porch. I'm an astronaut too. Yeah. Rhonda says Katy Perry sounded high when she landed. That is true. If you've seen the video of her interview, she's like, this was all about love. I just reminded me of how much love there is in the world. Chris says, that's why it's called space tourism. You are a tourist. You are not an astronaut. And there is a big difference. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. All right. Enough of that. But I'm glad we all are on the same page, at least. Look at this. These folks, they really went for it. This is a cold water swim record achieved in the Czech Republic. 2,461 people took a little swim and broke the world record in the frigid waters off the Czech Republic's second largest lake. They break the world record for the largest polar bear dip. And I'd play you the video, but I'll get dinged from the Guinness World Record folks. The temperature measured below 50 degrees. So it's a real polar bear plunge here. They took the record from cold water swimmers in Poland that held the record since 2015. One of the men who organized this, you see him here, he previously held the record for the longest swim under the ice. Breath held, no fins, no diving suit. He set that in 2021 and only lost it in March of this year. So he's a record setter. His name is David Benchi, and he organized this. So now he's got the record, along with 2,461 other cold water swimmers in the Czech Republic for the largest polar swim. I found this story, seeing as how we were just talking about the environment with Belinda. Check this out. Sorry, I need a sip of my Coachella Valley tea. I'm calling this eco sand. And this is this new sand that has been developed that is supposed to trap pollution and be used then in the construction of concrete. It's pretty interesting. They've developed this artificial sand for concrete that can sequester CO2. The sand, this artificial sand, is developed at Northwestern University. It's a carbon negative artificial sand that could replace conventional sand in concrete while storing CO2. So interesting ways to get rid of the CO2 in the atmosphere. They found a way to grow sand by injecting CO2 and electricity into seawater. This material developed in collaboration with Cemex, they're a leading global cement manufacturer. Usually, sand dredging can damage ecosystems, erode riverbeds, destroy habitats for aquatic life, and it comes with a carbon footprint as well. There's mining associated with dredging up sand, the transportation as well, linked to high emissions across the construction supply chain. So this material is comparable to regular sand in terms of its structural integrity, but it could prevent a carbon negative alternative when it's put into practice. It's kind of this seashell-like material. There was some research done in the 1980s where researchers discovered that if an electrical current is applied to seawater, naturally occurring calcium and magnesium ions can turn into solid minerals. The process of doing this is called mineral electrodisposition. And the idea has kind of led to the thoughts about the way marine organisms form shells and skeletons. But instead of using the animal's metabolic energy, scientists use electricity for this. The idea never really took off. But now, used in this way, the process is being sped up, increasing the material's production rate. This team of researchers injected CO2 into the electrically charged seawater. They did it in a lab with small electrodes and a small electrochemical cell where they were able to grow a sphere 9 centimeters in diameter over the course of 30 days. They say there's a chance for a higher production rate once they have a setup that's optimal. But that's what you could do. Capture the source from a cement plant, inject it into electrochemical reactors built nearby, and turn cement into a sustainable construction material. They say they're excited about this because what it does is create a circular approach to CO2 management. So fake sand. That's a thing they probably never even thought about in the 1980s when the research was done and the possibilities emerged that could be used for something like this. All right. Should we talk about air hunger? I was going to bring this to you yesterday. I didn't know that we had a term for this. Often associated with anxiety, called air hunger. It's a symptom of anxiety and other things that apparently it's thought we don't talk about it enough. So we'll talk about it here on the After Party Live. When you experience air hunger, you could be stressed or anxious, and it feels like something is sitting on your chest and you just can't get enough air to breathe. That your body feels like it's shutting down. One of the people that often feels this way said, I often feel like there's something heavy sitting atop my chest, blocking my airway, leaving me unable to breathe. It feels like you're suffocating even when there's plenty of oxygen available. Called air hunger. And they called it air hunger back in this medical paper in 1892. That's how long the term has been around. So I guess we should know it. It's a common symptom of anxiety, but most people don't talk about how it feels or the fact that it has a name. It's the feeling that you can't get enough air. From a medical standpoint, technically, it's called dyspnea. When anxiety causes it, because it can be from other reasons, it can be from exertion due to exercise, right? When you feel that feeling that you just can't get enough air. It's tied to the fight or flight response. When we perceive a threat, real or imagined, doesn't matter, the brain signals the body to enter fight or flight mode, according to a clinical psychologist. This activates sympathetic nervous system, which increases the heart rate, tenses our muscles, and changes our breathing patterns. When your sympathetic nervous system is activated, you might hyperventilate or breathe too quickly or shallowly. That's the feeling where you can't get enough air comes in. And sometimes what may feel instinctual can actually make matters worse. So the more we focus on our breathing and try to fix it, sometimes the more we reinforce the cycle of anxiety and air hunger. It can become cyclical. So you experience air hunger, you struggle to breathe, triggers more anxiety about the fact that you can't breathe, right? And then it's this painful circle. So I just thought it was interesting that it's a name. They say that there's a name for it, air hunger. The good news is they say it won't last forever. It subsides relatively quickly. If it happens frequently, if it's intense, lasts longer than a couple of minutes, or it does bring on chest pain or nausea, they say you should go see a medical professional. But they have some coping skills as well. And here's some of the things that you can do to alleviate air hunger. Expose yourself to cold temperatures, going outside on a colder day, or washing your hands in cold water, or taking a cold shower, or dunking your face in a cold dish of water can calm your anxiety and slow your heart rate. You're triggering a dive reflex when you put your face in water, and apparently that can help. They say also you could ground yourself with your senses. Another way to manage anxiety, getting in touch with your senses with the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Try naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And that brings your awareness back to the present moment and it helps disrupt anxious thought patterns. Change your posture. Even if you're in a comfortable position, when air hunger isn't an issue, you might not be able to breathe well. So they say be mindful of how you're sitting if you happen to have an air hunger attack. You could do a breathing exercise or technique. You could try some cognitive reframing. It kind of might look like this. You tell yourself as it's happening, air hunger is a perception, not a true lack of oxygen. So you're basically telling yourself, there's air all around me. I can breathe. There is oxygen and I have access to it. Repeating a positive mantra, I'm safe and this will pass. Practice mindfulness-based stress reduction as well. Another item in the toolkit. Give yourself a butterfly hug. I might have to use this one. I don't have issues with air hunger or anxiety usually, but I like the idea of butterfly hugs. It's incorporating breathing and cross-body tapping. You put your left hand on your right arm and your right hand on your left arm, then you tap your arms and you focus on breathing and you repeat positive mantras to yourself. Hey, you know what? Sometimes we all need a little pick me up. Butterfly hugs. We'll do it. I want to go to the lotto of the day. I'm going to skip the sad stories because I want to get to our waterfalls as well. But let's talk about this guy. He's a homeless guy in California, and he's plays the lotto and he wins. And I always hope that someone who really needs the money wins it. When I see someone who's homeless, I'm really hoping that the money is well managed and someone in his life will help him so that he gets a place to live. It's not all blown, right? This homeless man who'd been living on the streets of San Luis Obispo here in California bought this scratch off lottery ticket and won $1 million. An employee of the convenience store where this lucky ticket was sold said that this man, who's a regular there, thought he'd struck it rich with $100,000 win. He had to be told the real amount. And of course, this man didn't have a car. So the same employee, so nice, drove this guy to Fresno the very next day to start the process of cashing in this $1 million winning ticket. There's a lottery spokesperson in California. They say it could take from a few weeks to a couple of months for this prize to be awarded. But here's this homeless guy, $1 million richer. I'm glad it didn't go to someone who already has $1 million. But on the other hand, I think this guy might need some help to maybe manage it, make it last for his life, and so that he can actually have a place to stay. I hope someone helps him. There's another lottery story I saw. This one, we've talked about this before. There's this old wives' tale, you could say, a superstition about itchy hands, meaning that a large sum of money is on the way. So this guy in Maryland has an itchy hand, and he said it inspired him to buy a lottery ticket. He's from Baltimore. He was shopping at the giant store when he said his hand started itching. And so he bought a lottery ticket. He stopped at the lottery kiosk and bought a Keno ticket with a super bonus using a few numbers he'd seen earlier in the day. He then went, scanned the ticket at a lottery terminal, and was shocked to learn he won a prize so large that the readout said, "See lottery." That's the message you want to see. See lottery. He won $40,000. He collected the prize that he says he's putting right into his savings account. All from the itchy hand experience. And lastly, and this one, I think this came to me from Calvin Wong, shadow producer Calvin Wong. 15 strangers are splitting this lottery ticket. It's a $44.3 million lottery jackpot. They say this changes our lives. This one happened in Australia. The 15 lucky people won this $44 million jackpot. And that means that each person will get 2.9 million. The prize being divided among 15 people who all purchase shares in a syndicate at various businesses. Each of the 15 syndicate winners get about $2.9 million American money. The winners, some of whom are unknown to each other, have already been notified of their good fortune because they earlier registered their tickets with the Lotto member club. Some others haven't been contacted yet, might not be aware that they won. 15 Queenslanders becoming multimillionaires overnight, they say. So that's kind of cool. I guess there are different groups you can join where maybe it's not like here when we have a lotto group, it's, a group of friends getting together, a group of people that know each other. But there in Australia, maybe you can do it in a way where you don't know who you're playing with. You're just in a big group of lotto winners. And we talk for a minute about the California town that has been voted the best in the West by USA Today. I'll show you a picture of this town and you'll know exactly where it is. What do you think? What town is that? Yep. If you guessed Solvang, you are correct. The best in the West. Yeah. John gets it. There you go. Solvang. Heather has it. Solvang. Solvang is this little town that is inspired by Danish culture. It's a matter of fact, the Danish capital of America. And it has been named the best small town in the West by USA Today. It's a hub for tourists. It's in Santa Barbara County. And it was given the top spot in the 10 Best Readers' Choice Travel Awards. It beat out Astoria, Oregon, and Healdsburg, California. And I will say it is pretty special. Of Solvang, it is said it is dog-friendly, ideal for kids, known for its Danish-American vibe, its cool architecture, its design details, its pastries and bakeries. My grandpa used to love the peanut brittle you could get in Solvang. There's wine tasting options here because Santa Barbara County, right? Boutiques, restaurants, gourmet food purveyors, carefully curated indie booksellers, high-end home goods suppliers, fairy tale-like children's stories and museum gift shops, and it's a walkable town right in the heart of Santa Ynez Valley. There are courtyards, communal spaces, open-air venues. The town also came in number 5 in a different category for the best small-town food scene. I guess you could get European pretzels here and sausages. There's some high-end restaurants with Michelin honors. It's the only California town in the top 10 in that category. So pretty good. It's just another award for this cute, sweet, interesting little town in California. They've had a bunch of awards in the last few years. So I love it. Best of the West. I have another picture because this is I think was taken in at Christmas time. But the architecture here, there's everywhere you look in Solvang, there's something interesting to see. A very cute little town. If you haven't been there, you haven't visited it, completely worth it. Solvang, California. Best in the West. All right. Okay, let's get to, I know you've been waiting for the relaxation to come through. Waterfall Wednesday is with us. And so we go to Idaho. I was doing a story. What was it? Oh, I was doing the story about Bernie Sanders and AOC selling out this arena in Idaho. It was at capacity, like 12,500 people in Idaho packed into this arena to see them. I thought, let's look for waterfalls in Idaho. So that's why we are headed to Idaho to check out waterfalls. And if I hadn't found anything, we would have just moved on. Oh, but we found something. Sure we did. The first one is called Shoshone Falls. Here's a picture of it. Hopefully I got these in order. Yeah, that's a pretty cool waterfall. Look at that. How many do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different waterfalls in one shot, and massive waterfalls to boot. That's pretty cool. It's called the Niagara of the West, and they say it really lives up to its name, especially after you get a wet winter with a 212-foot wall of water that can leave you speechless. The water flow size is controlled by Idaho Power. So you can check conditions before you go out there and plan your trip. But even if it's at lower levels, it's still, they say, a mesmerizing sight. During the long Idaho spring days, you can get there after dinner and watch the low sunlight light up the falls as the cascading golden light tumbles down the Snake River Canyon. Midday, sometimes you get rainbows in the mist if you get lucky. They say it's one of the most impressive waterfalls in southern Idaho, and if you're headed that way, it's a must-do on your trip. Shoshone Falls, the Niagara of the West. It's really beautiful. Look at that. Incredible. That might actually get me to Idaho. I don't know. That's pretty nice. All right, here's next. That's a nice looking waterfall, right? That's pretty big. It's called Perrine Coulée Falls. It is also in southern Idaho. And the comparison is made to some of the beautiful waterfalls in Iceland. The waterfall to get there, it's a quick walk, but you can get a little wet if it's windy. They say it's an impressive view that doesn't get used enough up at the Canyon Crest Dining Event Center parking lot. You can walk behind the walkway, and there's apparently a viewpoint that you can see this waterfall, Perrine Coulée Falls. Yeah, it's really beautiful. You can get there from a trail above, or you can hike down into the canyon, depending on how you want to see it. I have another waterfall from Idaho to show you. Check out this one. It looks a lot like the one we saw earlier. I don't know if this is the same one or not. But I think this is Earl M. Hardy Box Canyon Springs Nature Preserve. And this is one of the 6 units that make up the Thousand Springs State Park Earl M. Hardy Box Canyon Springs Nature Preserve. It is a turnout parking lot that's hidden from view, so you have to really be on the lookout for it. It's a mile-long hike that gets you to this vista of the 11th largest spring in the United States. It's called a stunning display of clear blue water. And after you check out the clear blue water, you make your way up to the next area of interest by taking a trail into a canyon to access this incredible 20-foot waterfall. And they say at most times you'll really only be the only one there. That it's a place to get away from the bustle of the city of Twin Falls, Idaho. There's even a welcome sign which gives you details about Box Canyon and its similarities to Mars. So again, that's the Earl M. Hardy Box Canyon Springs Nature Preserve. And that's pretty cool. All right, I have another one. This one is called the Devil's Punch Bowl. An ominous name, but a cool looking waterfall. They say that name actually fits this one. Devil's Punch Bowl, spot on. It comes to life when massive amounts of water surge through this very small gorge. The waterfall has a bridge behind it, which is a beautiful viewpoint. They say there are sometimes kayakers who are extra brave, tempting fate in this area. The Devil's Punch Bowl has really, really strong power. There's also another waterfall nearby they say you should check out, but this is the Devil's Punch Bowl. And lastly, look at this one. What a pretty view and vista. This is Ritter Island in Idaho. Beside Shoshone Falls, which is the Niagara of the West, which we saw first, Ritter Island houses one of the best waterfalls in southern Idaho for catching last-minute daylight and colorful clouds during the sunset. They say the south-facing view of the waterfall is accessible via a steep road down to Ritter Island, known as Thousand Springs Grade. The falls can also be seen under moonlight from 1000 Springs Road across the river, where you can watch and listen to the waterfall as you light the night's campfire during the blue hour. Okay, I have a picture of that. I had never heard of the blue hour. I've heard of the golden hour, and not the blue hour. I guess the blue hour is that moment where the sky goes from kind of a periwinkle to darkness. So seeing this waterfall in the blue hour is apparently really special. I guess maybe you can bring your campfire out here and check out the blue hour. That's what it looks like. Look at sitting out there with your dog, with the campfire, got the waterfall going in the background. All right, Idaho, I see you. So here we do the recap. That is Shoshone Falls, the Niagara of the West. Yeah, And this one, we have Pierre Coulee Falls. So that's a nice one as well. And then we went to the Earl M. Hardy Box Canyon Springs Nature Preserve. And then we went to the Devil's Punch Bowl, followed by this one. And this again is the Ritter Island. Yeah. So pretty cool. And those are the waterfalls of Idaho, at least the ones that stood out to me. There are more, but I really liked those. All right, I'm going to the chat to see what you guys have to say. Another classic Waterfall Wednesday. I guess I should bookend it with the Waterfall Wednesday logo. So yeah, that's Waterfall Wednesday. Glad it was relaxing, that you enjoyed it. Delette says beautiful waterfalls. Absolutely. Yeah. Yvonne says, Idaho, not my favorite place to go right now. I know, but did you see all those people packing that event? Pretty good. These falls are gorgeous. Gorgeous. It's worth hiking a mile for that. Yeah. Extra dumb if you're kayaking Devil's Punch Bowl. No. Idaho. It's in all the waterfalls from today were in Idaho. If you have a suggestion, you want me to go see a waterfall in a certain area, you want to look at a certain state or country or what have you, please email me. It's kim@theafterparty.live. Again, it's kim@theafterparty.live. Always love to hear from you with your suggestions. Tomorrow's Trivia Thursday, and so I would love to hear from you if you have any categories. I did have one request for riddles, so we might do that. I'm not sure. If I can find some good ones, we will. Trivia Thursday is tomorrow. The Mark Thompson Show starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow here on YouTube. And we have David Katz coming on the show, and I'm excited to talk to him. I'm trying to line up another guest as well. And so it might be a full show. I'm hoping that it will. That is tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, and I really hope you'll join me for it. Then we have Trivia Thursday here on the After Party Live, always a popular event, followed by the Nikki Maduro Show, 5 p.m. Thursday. So that's the big YouTube lineup. I hope that you will join me and that you won't get tired of me after all of those shows. Thank you to everyone who contributes to this show. The shows don't go on without the crowdfunding support that you offer. And I am so grateful to everyone who is able to do so and who comes here and spends their time as well, who email things, story ideas, and comments. So always nice to have that kind of participation as well. I do want to give some thank yous though, because the monthly PayPal contributors really are keeping this show afloat. We had one from Scott R., from Amy S., from Marilyn G., from Yvonne B., and John R. Thank you guys so much for your monthly contributions to the show. These recurring payments are so important. The super chats and super stickers are always open even after the show ends. So again, thank you for that. And by the way, the PayPal information is in the About tab as well, and much appreciated. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow here on YouTube. Go out there, make it a great day. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you tomorrow on the old YouTube. But until then, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Yeah, but I want them to be interesting to you. Maybe I'll see what he has to say. He likes to make up riddles, and they're kind of border